let's talk about the three states of consciousness that we experience. So we have the waking state, which we are in right now. You'd say your experience is that you're awake and there's a body and there's a mind that's experienced in the waking state. And that's the waking state. And, it all depends on how long you're awake for in terms of, what times you arise and go to bed, right? So whatever that might be, 16, 18 hours, whatever it is, right? Maybe more. And then we enter the dream state. Right? And the dream state is very similar to the waking state. Right? There's a body and there's a mind still, right? Projecting dreams, and you experience this body in the dream, and you're experiencing like a world, right? So there's a world, there's a body, there's a mind in the waking state. Dream state, there's a world, there's a body, and there's a mind in the dream state, right? Then we have a deep sleep state, where a lot of us, we just kind of describe that experience as like blankness, like there's no world, there's no body, no experience of the body, right? No experience of the mind, right? And that's what really, makes us feel like, yeah, such a deep sleep, right? But it's like, but what happened? A lot of us, we just kind of, I'm unconscious when I'm sleeping, right? At that time, it's like I'm unconscious. Because then it's like, it's timeless. Like, how is it that, some people have like 8, 10, 12 hours of sleep, and it just kind of feels like, whoa, didn't I just go to bed? Where did the time go? Right? You could be awake for 8 hours and it feels like the longest 8 hours of your life, right? And in deep sleep, right? 6 hours can just go by like that, right? 6 hours feels like 6 seconds, right? So is there any other states that you're experiencing other than waking and dreaming and deep sleeping? Right? Probably not. You might say no, but there's a fourth. And some people, they refer to it as a fourth state, but really it's not a state, because all states come and go, and all states have some sort of border or boundary or limitation. That's why it's limited to a state, right? The waking state, it's limited to, right, being awake, right? Then we say the dream state is limited to when we're dreaming. In the deep sleep, it's limited to when there's no body, no mind, but we're not really conscious of what that is. It's kind of like what's happening there, right? But there's something which is not a thing, but this is very difficult to talk about it because it's actually beyond all three states, yet it's what permeates all three states. And it's, like I said, it's not a state. These states change. This other thing that I'm talking about does not change. Does not change. It's ever present. It's here right now. It's also here in dream, and it's here in deep sleep. It's here all the time. What is that? So this is known as Turiya, which just kind of means the fourth state. But like I said, I would prefer not to say it's a state, because that's kind of implying that, again, it comes and goes just like these three others. And this, what I'm saying is, Turiya actually does not come and go. You say it's the ultimate reality that these three states happen within. It's the ultimate reality that gives reality to the waking state, the dream state, and deep sleep state. It permeates all of them. It runs through all of them. You could say if waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state are three beads on a necklace, the ultimate reality is the string that runs through all of them, that gives the reality to the necklace. Otherwise, there'd be no necklace. There'd just be three beads, right? So, yes, we do experience those three, and most people have no idea about this ultimate reality for very good reason, because it's beyond the body and mind, right? It's beyond the body and mind. It's very similar to deep sleep, but you can say it's when it's being conscious of deep sleep. It's a conscious deep sleep. Or you can say it's like being awake while you're sleeping. I don't know, that doesn't make any sense. But we can start seeing this if we just kind of look at it. In the waking state, there's an experience of body, mind, world, right? In your dream state, there's an experience of body, mind, world. And in deep sleep, you'd say, no, there's no world, no body, no mind. When you say, I don't know what happened, right? I'm not there. It's blankness. It's just blankness. But you're actually still there. You're actually still there. It's more that there's no experience of the mind. There's no objects, right? But there is an experience. There's an experience of nothing, no thing, no things, right? Whereas in the waking state, yeah, there's a teacup, computer, camera, light, right? So many experiences, so many objects, right? There's a subject and there's an object. And the same sort of thing with the dream state, right? Whatever you're doing, maybe you're flying around in your dream, going on vacations, getting chased by tigers, whatever it is, right? There's a body, there's a mind, there's a world. So these are very similar, waking and dream. In fact, you could almost call them dream 1 and dream 2, because they're very much the same. They seem to, in this kind of state, everything's coming and going. Everything is changing. Same with this one. In dream, everything's coming and going, and everything's changing. And this one, it's impermanent, right? It's not you're not permanently awake as you think of yourself as awake, experiencing the wake. This experience of being awake comes and goes. The experience of dreaming comes and goes. Right? The experience of the dream state, the deep sleep state, that comes and goes. But there's something that doesn't come and go. There's something that doesn't come and go, which permeates all three states, which is beyond all three states, which all three states depend on, but this that I'm talking about does not depend on the three states. It's independent of those three states. Right? So what is it? What is it? What am I talking about? Right? Right? You're aware of the waking state. You go, yes. Are you aware of the waking state? Yes. You're aware of the dream state. Yes. I'm aware that I dream. Yes. There's a dream. Yes. You wake up. It's like there's the memory of the dream or the awareness of the dream. Sometimes even when there's lucid dreaming, you're aware of the dream during the dream. What's that? There's an awareness of the mind projecting a whole new world. And there's an awareness of the body in that world. Right? It's lucid dreaming. And now you're saying you're not aware of deep sleep. But you kind of are. You are, aren't you? Don't you say that your sleep is peaceful? I slept like a log. Right? You're saying there was no experience. But how would you know there's no experience? Obviously, you're aware that there's no experience. Right? So definitely aware that there's some dream, and then there's there's that period of in the sleep where I do my deep sleep in that and in those 4 hours or whatever it is. Right? You got an overactive mind and you're dreaming a lot. Maybe the dream is really long. You're going through cycles of the dream. There's not so much of the deep sleep. Maybe you're like, I just really needed that sleep. So peaceful, right? What do even people say? How was your sleep, right? You sleep over at my house. How was your sleep? You go, it was good. It was good. I needed that rest. Well, then obviously you're aware. You're aware of that rest in the deep sleep. You're aware of the peace in the deep sleep. You're aware of the nothingness in the deep sleep. There must be something still there to register, to be aware, to register that there's nothing happening. There's something there that's registering. It's registering something's happening in the wake. Oh yeah, a lot of stuff happening, coming and going. In the dream state, a lot of stuff happening, coming and going. I'm flying. Feels like I got superpowers, and the character has superpowers in my dream. That character that I believe to be me. Right? And then there's registering nothing happening, but wow, feels good. Right? And then you go back to the waking. Someone says, hey, how was your sleep? You're like, well, I dreamt for a little bit that I went to the moon, right? And built a house on the moon. And can't really remember any more of my dream. That just kind of vanished, right? It's impermanent, it comes and goes. And yeah, just had a really good sleep. Feel so restful now, right? It's like, well, what happened after the moon and the building of the house on the moon? It's like nothing, just blankness. Okay. But what knows about that blankness? See, there's an awareness of the three states. That awareness is what permeates all three states. That awareness, are you aware right now? Yeah. Are you aware that you're aware right now? Yeah. right? Even in the dream. There's an awareness of the dream. Otherwise, how would you know that you dreamt? The mind is creating the dream. And the awareness is aware of that whole dreaming activity. It's aware of the character and what's happening in the dream. And it's exactly like the waking state. As I said, it's almost better to say dream 1 and dream 2. But it just doesn't feel as cohesive as consistent. There's probably a better word. Because you know what I mean. You're eating ice cream and then you're getting chased by a tiger and things just don't really kind of make sense. There's really like you jump. There's these big inconsistent jumps. Whereas the waking state, dream 1, is a little bit more compelling, right? Seems to be like you wake up and it's like things kind of just carry on from the past day. But when we look, everything is changing. Nothing stays the same in both, right? Nothing stays the same. And then we get into the dream, the deep sleep state, and it's like nothing's there, and we kind of like boring, but like we all really look forward to our sleep, right? There's nothing more that we love more than sleep. It doesn't matter how much you love your mom and dad and your wife and your kids and stuff. There's even that time when you say goodbye to them. You say, I'm going to sleep. I love you guys, but I love my sleep more, right? We go to sleep. But what I'm saying is there's obviously an awareness of all 3 states. And that's what you can say is Turiya, meaning the fourth. The fourth is not really it's not really a state, like I said, because that awareness is permanent. It does not come and go, and it does not change. That awareness is eternal. There's no start, there's no end to it. There's a start and an end to the waking state. There's a start and end to the dream state. There's a start and the end to the deep sleep state. But that which is conscious, that which is aware of all those 3 states, all those 3 states are experienced in consciousness. All 3 states are experienced in awareness. That's how you're aware of them. That's where the experience is happening. Right? This experience right now of wakefulness, of the waking state, is happening in your consciousness. It's not even in your consciousness. You can just say in consciousness. Because consciousness is not personal. It's not like someone that's possessing the consciousness. Consciousness is what you are. Awareness is what you are. And these are experiences, just like even the experiences in the waking state, they come and go. Here's the experience of shooting a video. This comes and goes. The experience of getting chased by tigers in your dream, that comes and goes. It's different. You never have the exact same experience. You may think you do, but there's no such thing as the exact same experience, because all experiences are different. They're all unique, right? So how do we become conscious of that awareness? How do we become conscious of consciousness? How do we become aware of awareness, right? Because what really happens is when awareness becomes aware of itself as awareness, when consciousness becomes conscious of consciousness, there's these states disappear. These states disappear. And there's just the ultimate reality. And it's the fact that they disappear, that you exist, right? As consciousness, you exist without the body, the mind, and the world. Because being conscious of consciousness is pure subjectivity. There's no objects. The body is experienced as an object. The mind is experienced as an object. The world is experienced as an object in consciousness. And being conscious of being conscious, those disappear because the awareness, it turns. For lack of better words, it's like it turns, and now it's just aware of itself instead of any sort of projected object, any appearance. These are seen as this appears, the waking state appears. It's like you're asleep and then, whoa, right? It's like, whoa, where did this come from? Where all this manifestation just come from? It's pretty consistent. Kind of feels like yesterday, the day before. Things are kind of where I left them. Whoa, who put this body here? Right? You just come out of like deep sleep state. Oh, this is me. Right? That's my mind. Okay. And then it's like chain reaction. Everything's now set in motion. Right? It's just like from this like unmanifested world to then manifested world. The body's a manifestation. The mind's a manifestation, right? But what's aware of those manifestations? What's aware of those appearances appearing in consciousness? Consciousness itself. Consciousness itself. So that's what I said, is it's very similar to being awake while being asleep. Because consciousness, being conscious of itself, it's like there's like this alertness, this awareness, but also it's restfulness, it's peace. You're aware of that peace. You're of that fulfillment, that contentment, that happiness, perfect happiness, the bliss. And because there's no object, there's no other experiences happening. It's pure subject. It's the nature. The nature of awareness is self-awareness. So that's the self. The self being aware of self. And it's really hard to talk about because obviously what I'm talking about is beyond the mind. And words belong to the mind. So I can only just point at it, kind of give you, sorry, in the program, I talk about how to basically come to that realization. But it's consciousness that realizes. It's consciousness. It's consciousness that realizes there's nothing else here. Right? If you think that you can only exist when this teacup is on the table, right? When this teacup's here, I exist because the teacup, right? I exist because that's my body and mind. And there's always going to be this fear, someone else doesn't exist because there's their body, they left the body and mind. That's it. They died. Right? But when this teacup, the body mind, disappears, and I'm here. Remember, I'm here, not I as the body mind. I as consciousness still exists. Then that's when the realization happens that obviously I'm not the body mind. Obviously, that's another experience that's coming and going, just like the plant, just like the microphone, everything else. It's another experience. It's another object in consciousness. And that consciousness is what I am. It's another appearance in consciousness because obviously I'm aware it's disappearing. It's coming and going. How can it be me? I'm I'm pointing to the body, but again, I as in consciousness do not come and go. I as in consciousness am aware of everything that's coming and going, everything that's changing. The body is changing. The body's changing right now, right? Thousands of cells are being born and dying right now. That's changing. The mind, it's changing. Did you change your mind? Has your mind changed since you were 5? Of course. The mind's changing. But this innate, it's not a feeling. It's because it's existential. I exist. I am. You've had that. That has been deep at your core. You could say your entire life. The thing is we attach that I am, I exist to the body. I exist as a body. I am the body. It gets very attached, Gary. It gets mixed up. So what happens when this realization is, okay, you believe that you're the body mind, and then what happens is, again, here's consciousness in the hand. Whoa. The hand's still here without the cup. So then it's a separation that happens, right? There's a separation. Whoa, hold on. I thought I was the body mind, right? And that happens, again, when the mind is very still. When the mind is very still, the body's very still. And it's in that stillness that then you see, you can't really see what you are, but it's a good analogy with the amount about water when it's still, like when the lake's still, right? Then you can see your reflection. Now you can't really see your reflection. There's the seeing in the sense of seeing as awareness. So it is a good analogy, good metaphor. Is because that awareness is it's like a seeing, right? It's a seeing without your eyes. That awareness then turns on itself. And it sees, but again, there's nothing to see. You're not going to see an object. You're not going to see an object. You're just seeing. I'm pure awareness. I'm pure consciousness. Right? Because it's that separation. It's kind of like being, saying like I am, but I am the body. I am my mind, right? You get mixed up in it. It's kind of like you as consciousness is it's like oil. But for your entire life, you think that you're salad dressing. It's like an oil and vinegar salad dressing. Right? And you're staying busy your entire life, so it's always just constantly being shaken, which then holds the whole salad dressing together. Right? It's just all emulsified and mixed up together as a mixture. But then when the mind becomes very still, well, then what happens? There's that separation, right? Where then it's like, whoa, I'm not, I thought I was vinegar too. Like I thought I was the vinegar. I thought it was the salad dressing. There's that separation. I exist without that stuff, right? When there's that separation, the oil rises to the top. I exist without that, right? Maybe not the best analogy, but you get the idea in terms of things settling and separating. It's very much the same thing. It's, whoa, I exist. There is no body. There is no mind. There is no world, right? When that realization, when awareness turns on itself, it's just like, I got to give words. There's no words at this time. It's just me. It's peace. It's like, there's happiness. That's everything. It's just, and that's when it's not, it's not a moment. Happens in a moment. It can happen in a moment, but what you become aware of is eternity. It's eternity, becoming aware of eternity. That these experiences are happening in eternity. The experience of the waking, the dreaming, the sleep, the experience of the body, the experience of the mind. Right? Because then the body-mind world disappears. And then there's a change, because before that realization, you would say, I, which then you would be referring to I as my body mind, like I, the body mind, appear in the world. And then that changes to then saying the body mind, the world, appears in I, but that I is now switched. Not now the I is the body mind. Right? It changes. It changes to consciousness. Right? It's always been consciousness, but it was a misidentification, identifying incorrectly. Right? This is where, what is it? Buddha saying, like, the ignorance is the root of suffering. The root of suffering is ignorance, right? Ignorance, not the sense of like how we say now in Western society, this person's ignorant, right? What we're really saying is this person's stupid. We're not saying that. Ignorance is in ignoring that awareness. There's all this waking, the dreaming, the deep sleep, that goes on, cycles of that. But there's been an ignorance and ignoring the ultimate reality and ignoring the awareness that's always present, ignoring what you actually are, ignoring your true nature. That's what it's meant by ignorance, to ignore, right? And because we ignore, we suffer. But when you say, oh, you're going to ignore someone, this person's talking, I'm just going to ignore them, right? You're not going to give them attention. But when we stop ignoring and we turn the attention back on itself, right? Awareness, becoming aware of awareness, right? You can say that's giving it attention, giving the subject attention, right? Because it's always there, like in the background. It's when we get so focused on just the objects in our experience, we lose ourselves as the subject, you could say. We don't really lose ourselves, it's always there. But we ignore the subject. And through self-inquiry and stilling the mind, that subject, it's not so hidden anymore. We're not so distracted by all the objects where there's an object, but there's also the subject that's experiencing that object, right? And then what happens is that continues, the mind stills even more, and then by self-inquiry, which is basically turning awareness on awareness, right? Inquiring about the self, is the self becomes aware of itself. Awareness becomes aware of awareness by the turning of the attention, you could say, or the relaxing of the tension, so that the attention is not so contracted on objects, and it relaxes and returns back to the formless, invisible, infinite subject that you are. And that's when it becomes aware. Oh, wow. Right? I got to give the narrative. It doesn't say that, but then there's that the realization that I'm not that because I'm existing without that. I'm okay. I'm okay without thoughts. Most people, they think that they're their thoughts because they're constantly thinking. They've never experienced what it's like to not think. I mean, they have in deep sleep, but they haven't been fully aware, I guess you can say, of that. So that ultimate reality, you can see it's what gives reality to dream 1, dream 2, and deep sleep, or waking, dreaming, deep sleep. It's there all the time, because how would you have the experience of wakefulness? How would you have the experience of dreaming? How would you have the experience of a deep sleep if there was no awareness? Is it possible to have any experience without awareness? No. There needs to be awareness. That's why awareness is fundamental. It's the basis. It's the ultimate reality. It's the reality that makes everything else, gives the existence to everything else. Everything comes out of that awareness. And everything is experienced in that awareness. And this one might throw you off even more. Everything is made out of that awareness. Just like when you're in deep sleep, what is the dream actually made of? Go. Because in the dream, you're like, there's definitely a tiger chasing me. There's definitely buildings and whatever it is. There's definitely other people. But what are they made? What is that dream even made of? It's made of your consciousness, right? It's all made of dream stuff, right? And really, in the dream, there's a dream that I'm different than the tiger, I'm different than the girl, I'm different than the building. Those all appear to be separate from me, the dream character. But really, when we kind of zoom out and go, that's all a dream made of the same thing. That's all a dream. All of it is you. The tiger is you. The girl is you. The building is you. It's all you as the consciousness. And then if we take that same kind of model, you say, and say it's the same thing over here in the waking state, it's all you. It's all consciousness. It's all made up of you. Right? So this might be going a little too far, but to kind of recap, the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. 3 different states of consciousness that have defined boundaries for each. There's a start and there's an end to each. There's the ultimate reality, which is the awareness, the consciousness that is aware of the 3 states that come and go. There's the awareness of the experience of the 3 states that are temporary states. And the fact that you're aware of all three states that are coming and going. And you're aware that when one kind of starts, when one ends, the other one starts. It's that awareness that runs through, that permeates all three experiences. The fact that these three experiences are experienced in your awareness show that the three experiences are happening in you. They're appearing in you as awareness. And when we see that the waking state, which you could say has the qualities of a body, a mind, and a world, and the dream, a body, a mind, and a world, and the deep sleep, no body, no mind, no world, right? But we're not really having any experience here. You can see this. Well, what's aware of all that? What's aware that there's a body, mind, world, no body, mind, world? Obviously something that is not dependent on the body and the mind and the world. Because it is aware that the body, the mind, and the world appears and disappears. And the fact that you're aware of that is proof that you're not the body, the mind, or the world. That you exist without those. And when you see that the body, the mind, the world is merely coming and going and bound to time, then obviously the awareness that you are is obviously timeless. It's outside of time. It's eternal. It's always present. There's no start, there's no end. So what you actually are is that pure awareness, which is immortal, eternal. It does not die. This awareness was never born. What's born is the body, the mind. It's like the world is born every morning when you say, I awake, right? It's like, ooh, there's a world. It's born. Right? You close your eyes. Where does it go? Where does it go? Right? You see, it's as consciousness, it's your creation. It's your dream. Just like it's in your dream at night, the dream that you're dreaming of being chased by tigers, it's your creation. It's your creation, right? Where you're simply like a character in your dream. Right? You can take the same model and say it's the same thing here. Where who you think you are is a character in your dream. Right? So who's the dreamer? Who's the dreamer? What's the dreamer? Right? Consciousness, dreaming it all. Right? It's all happening in consciousness. So hopefully that kind of explains it, and you can find on the channel or in my program, we can do a guided self-inquiry and really point you to this with the transmission that will really slow down the mind and even stop it. And then you become very still, and this is then realized through the direct transmission, coming to that point of realization, which then, like I said, is then these just kind of, it's like it drops. It just instantaneously, Again, hard to describe, right? We're talking about it, but you can only understand this intellectually. What I'm saying is intellectually and experientially are two different things. The intellectual understanding of this doesn't really happen. It doesn't really help. You can kind of ponder it, maybe contemplate a little bit, but really that experience, the experience of it, that's what's necessary. Consciousness, becoming conscious of itself, right? And when consciousness stays conscious of itself, when awareness is aware of itself 24/7 all the time, then that's what's known as enlightenment, where it's awareness that wakes up. You as the character don't wake up. It's awareness that wakes up. It's eternity that wakes up. That's the true awakening. See you in the next one.